The dark times? What happened afterwards is what we haven't really told anyone, but we've kept hidden for all these years. He handled most of that load, and it was proving to be really degrading to his health. He had a heart attack. I think that might have been the biggest gut-wrenching experience I've ever had in my life so far. So, immediately after his passing, a massive infighting erupted within the board of directors. Remus was, how should I put it, difficult. But he knew how to talk. Not just speak, talk. He had a way of saying things that made people believe in impossible futures. These last few months have been trying, but with careful guidance, I believe we can continue that sense of direction that Mr. Clover built. Stability. Julian, forgive me, but when a ship's taking on water, patching the sails won't keep it afloat. The public doesn't want another year of consolidation. They want results. He was unanimously voted as the railway's new controller. So what does Remus do? He feeds it. He talks to the lad like he's the second coming of Brunel. We're to finally realize the railway's final goal. The anticipated mainland connection. Second thing we're planning to do is to extend the mainline to Kildane, branching off from Kilsthorpe. Finally, the third thing we're planning to work on is a major expansion of Kirk Ronan Harbour. But in a very unsurprising move from Remus's part, I've been demoted from that role. Can we say no? It's sir now, Julian. They said no, sir. We'll just buy some new engines. There's plenty on the market. Who cares about the budget, Julian? Where is everybody? You know, I wonder why he wants to work on such a project, considering the context. From what I've heard, Benson seems to be a very chipper and kind fella. I doubt an engine of his persona would want to contribute to something so risky. I think that he's deliberately kept oblivious to all the context. I'm pretty sure that's also why we haven't been given any opportunity to interact with them, because if we did, they'd get to know the entire backstory, which would probably alter their opinion on the project, and that's something I doubt Remus would want. Intentionally keeping the newcomers from interacting with their soon-to-be colleagues. Cruel. At this point, such an act doesn't surprise me, but I'm pretty sure Benson has had a conversation with Reed once. And Reed is a quiet engine, so I doubt he got much out of that. Let's just hope he doesn't talk to Norris. Oh, for sure. If anything is to alter his work ethic, then it would be Norris. Absolutely. But considering how much is expected of Benson especially, I do feel very bad for him. Oh, no question. He's not just doing an extension like Charlie. There's that entire rolling bridge on top of it, which might just be the single most extreme construction effort the railway will ever face. So there's a lot riding on his wheels. And let's not forget the fact that he's a passenger engine. I doubt he has much experience with handling such work. It would not be much, if any for that matter. And we don't even know how complicated the rolling bridge is going to be. They haven't picked a design yet? Not according to Julian. I think they concluded the bidding phase a few days ago, so they don't even have a design yet. Nope. Huh. Poor Benson. Morning, sir. Ah, Ragnar. Good to see you. Good to see you too, sir. Congratulations on winning the design bid. I heard it's ambitious, functional, and maybe even pioneering. That's what I was trying to go for, sir. I wanted to really show my abilities in the best possible way, so I allowed myself to go all in on this design. Well, let me see what you came up with. The bridge will rise on one side, featuring some precisely calculated weights, which will make the process quick without putting too much strain on the structure. Impressive. The only thing to consider is that, since this is so sophisticated, it looks like it'll be a rather expensive project on its own. What are we looking at? Upwards of £200,000. Ooh, very ambitious. Well, we should be able to manage that. I understand that the price is a result of the detailed and sophisticated design. But with that in mind, I believe that such a bridge would be able to hold for a long time. So, it's a long-time investment. That's what I was thinking as well. Since it will be a big and important undertaking for the railway, I think it should be done properly. Well said, Ragnar. I like the way you think, and I like your talent. Seems there's a lot of potential in you. Thank you, sir. Tell me something, Ragnar. What's your current occupation? Well, I just finished my education in architecture, but I've engaged with engineering for most of my life since my father works in that field. So I was able to utilize that for my design here. I see. And what are your plans now that you're done with school? Well, I'm still on the look for anything where I can use my skill. I haven't had much luck so far, but I'll keep searching. Well, in that case, I might be able to help you with that. Help me with what? A job. One where you can fully utilize your talent. Go on. Well, our current locomotive superintendent is in the midst of retiring. He's had a long and respectful career on this railway. We currently have an acting superintendent, but we're still on the look for someone proper to overtake the position. And I think you seem like the perfect fit for that role. Locomotive superintendent? It matches your wishes. Engineering with a hint of architecture. Well, I'm thrilled by the confidence, sir. And if I'm totally honest, that's always been a small dream of mine. So if you'd like to have me on for that position, I'd be more than happy to accept. Well, that's wonderful to hear, Ragnar. It would be an honor to have you working for the railway. We'll make sure that you can easily move in by the time you're ready. Fabulous. That just made this trip even more worth it. But I gotta go catch my train now. Have to make some new arrangements. Of course. I'll refrain from spending any more of your time. Oh, morning, Julian. Good morning, Whiff. No good news from the board? I wouldn't necessarily say that. So everything's normal then? Just about. I see. Well, watch the news then. They found a new guy to replace John as the locomotive superintendent. A young up-and-coming architect named Ragnar Archer. The same guy who delivered the final design for the rolling bridge. So already someone that Remus has taken a liking to. Yeah. He had to go with the most expensive bid of all. I guess he wanted to show how modern the railway is going to be. Yeah. Only at the expense of the railway's finances. Well, the finances that he doesn't really care about. That's true, I guess. Young, you say? How young? Don't really know, but likely in his mid-20s. Well, that's a lot of confidence in such a young man. Well, I hear from him that Ragnar is very talented. But I fear he might see the situation a bit like with His Grace the Duke. Young, eager to prove himself, and easily affected by grand words from Remus. I feel that Remus has some interesting plans moving forward with regards to the rolling stock. Actually, I know he has. It was just announced today that the railway is expected to receive 3 new designed goods locomotives to help Raja and the others with the expected increase in goods loads. Also, in anticipation of some new, proper express locomotives to be designed, we'll also be receiving 2 locomotives on loan so they can get some inspiration. Interesting. I mean, I understand the part about the goods services. That seems to be a fair move, but the express one, not so much. Since Roger, Riker, Remor and Reed are partly free from goods work, won't that result in them having more time to run the faster services? I feel the same with, but alas, it's not my decision. If only. Yeah, if only. But it is what it is. Very true. Anyway, I'm off in a moment. Were you to join me? Yes, I'm headed to Vicarstown. Gotta inform the others. I see. Well, hop aboard then. Hello? Oh, hello. Who are you? I'm Jimmy. I'm one of your new goods engines. You're the help we've been waiting for. Roger's the name. Pleasure to meet you, Jimmy. It's a pleasure to meet you too, Roger. One would almost think that they built some more of my class. You do look pretty similar to me, but I imagine you're most suited for heavy goods work. That's what I've been told. I'm to handle much of the railway's larger goods trains, while you're to focus more on the lighter goods and heavier passenger trains. Yep, that's what I've heard too. Well, I hope there's enough work for us to justify our presence. Yeah, hopefully indeed. You seem a bit concerned. Well, how much have you interacted with the railway's management? Only a guy called Julian. Well, apart from him. I'm talking about the rest of the railway's board. No, none other than Julian. Well, I'll warn you. They are very ambitious, but a little shady in their approach to management. Oh dear. I don't like the sound of that. I get that. You'll get more details on the way, but there's much doubt between us engines as to whether or not there will be any sufficient work for you. There's going to be 3 of you, right? Yes? Right, and there's 4 of us. So it'll be interesting to see if there'll be enough passenger work for us, especially when they're also planning on acquiring some express locomotives. I see your point. Well, I hear there's a lot of expansion work going on, so maybe we'll have a little bit more by the time that happens. Yeah, hopefully so. Hello? Hello? Remus, I assume? Yes, indeed. But please, call me sir. Yes, sir. Good. I'm happy to see you out of the works, ready for some proper work. We're in the transitioning period where we need some properly designed goods locomotives, and hopefully you'll be able to satisfy our desires. I'll try my very best, sir. That's good to hear. And there's a lot resting on your wheels, since you're expected to be very busy. Yes, I can imagine, given the extensive work you're currently carrying out. Oh yes. We have several ongoing initiatives that are aimed at boosting the railway's productivity and economy, thereby allowing us to expand even further once we're in better position. Well, I'll be happy to play a part in that, sir. Excellent. But before we get to that, you have to prove yourself. You're to start trial runs tomorrow. We'll focus mostly on goods runs, but you're also to carry out some passenger runs, just to test your capabilities. I understand, sir. I'll do my very best tomorrow then. Great. I'll see you later then. Hello there. Hello, laddie. Good to see someone here. I hope we've landed on Sodor. You have indeed. That's a relief. We weren't sure since we had to be rerouted. Would you be the new engines for express services? Yes, that would be us. I see. Is there something wrong? Well, nothing more than the fact I was expecting you to arrive via rail, and not on boat. How would we arrive via rail? Well, we have a rolling bridge that connects us to the mainland. Really? We were told we could only get to the island with a boat. Well, then again, I don't know whether or not the bridge is actually done. It should be by now. That was the original plan. But given the, well, interesting approach to the expansion projects we have, I would not be surprised if it's behind schedule. That to me sounds like the railway has some problems. Oh, my dear chap, that would be an understatement. You'll pick it up in a short while. But enough of that. It's a pleasure to meet you regardless. What's your names? I'm Taylor. And I'm Joseph. Now's the name. Welcome to the railway, lads. I wish I could stick around and get to know you a little more, but I have to head out with a passenger train. I hope we'll get more time later on to talk. Very well, Niall. We'll see you later. Hello, Benson.
Niall, was it?
Yep.
Right.
What's going on here?
Well, I'm waiting for some girders to take to the bridge. They should have been here a few minutes ago, but as you can see, they're not.
Well, there was a bit of a kerfuffle at Crumb and Skate. Maybe they got lost there.
Plausible, I guess, but hopefully they can sort it out soon.
Hopefully indeed. Isn't it funny? You've been here for, what, 3 years now? But it's only now we actually have a proper chance to chat with each other.
It's very strange indeed, and there's still some I'm yet to interact with. Your brother, for example.
Well, take it from me, I don't think you're ready to interact with him just yet.
Why?
You'll be a different engine from talking to him. Trust me.
Okay.
But anyway, I gotta ask. How's it going with the bridge?
You don't know?
I'm not allowed to see it. None are. Apart from you and Charlie.
I see. Well, you gotta strap in for this.
Why?
It's going horribly as of now. The bridge was supposed to be finished about a month ago. Yesterday, we finished the foundations.
Huh? Just the foundations?
Just the foundations. Something that was supposed to be completed almost half a year ago.
Jeez, what happened?
Let's see. Improper design plans, bad luck with weather, lazy workers, and a build code violation. It took 4 attempts, cause the first 2 washed away during high tide, while the third one had that violation. And we were about 70% done by that point, so we had to redo it all again.
Good lord, that's really bad. Maybe that's why we're not allowed out there. Maybe that's why no one else is.
Keep the public blind. That always goes well.
If that's the way they're going, well, that'll just ruin us.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with the board.
I think no one has. What about the budget?
At this point we should care much about the budget as Remus.
So not at all.
You don't want to know how much we've blown past it.
You're right, I don't. I'm better off without knowing. But what I do know is that this is a very bad sign. If the new board can't properly organize and prepare such an undertaking, then who knows how bad it'll be in the future. Right, Benson, I finally have some good news. I've managed to get some proper engineers to plan the rest of the undertaking. Plus you to receive some more manpower by next week. Hopefully you can make up a little bit of the lost time with this.
That's actually good news.
How'd you manage to pull that off? Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. I'm just as surprised as you are.
I see. Well, at least it's not all bad now. Just mostly bad.
Yeah, just mostly. Sorry to interrupt, but isn't that an increase in the already extortionate spending? Yes, it is. I know. But at this point, what else can I work with? It's gotten to the point now where I have to use some weird strategies to gain any favor. Like, I somehow managed to actually get Cornelius to agree with me for once. You know, the guy who's been giving the go-ahead to all this ridiculous stuff. Huh, well done I guess. I wonder, what's his justification for all this spending? One thing, the Great Waterton mines. Just that? They are the railway's biggest moneymakers after all. But I get what you mean. Poor justification if it's the only thing he's justifying with.
Well, at this point we'll have to start praying for a miracle to happen.
Yes, we do. That's the least we could ask for right now. Have you heard of the progress? Mm-hmm. Good. You all should know. I'll let you spread the information to the others. With pleasure.
Finally. Barrow. Took long enough. Only 7 months past the deadline. But we're here now. Not long till we're done with this insane project. But one does have to wonder, what will we be doing once it's finished? Both me and Charlie. Speaking of which, I wonder how it's going for him. He should be working on the Harvard Kirk Ronan now, having finished the extension to Kildane about 2 months ago. At least he should have.
I'm telling you all, the harbor's supposed to be done in 3 days. And I'm telling you again, that that's not going to happen within the given time frame. The Barrow project was prioritized, so we're left with fewer resources and manpower. We're working to our best abilities with what we have, but it's very inadequate.
What rubbish management. They can't acquire any significant workforce to handle the load. Shame on them. Oh, hello. I didn't know they'd given green light for trial runs.
Well, considering how far you are right now, they weren't supposed to. But we're already so far behind that they have to overlap some stuff in order not to fall any further. So I know that you're still busy with finishing the station, but we have to test the track as quickly as possible.
I guess that makes sense. New rolling stock, I see.
Yeah, the railway's new express coaches.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because these weren't intended to be the railway's new express coaches. They were to be the new commuter coaches. But, since the budget left for the rolling stock division is equivalent to about 6 shillings, they've decided to continue using the old commuter coaches while reclassifying these as express coaches. Something that, mind you, they weren't designed for.
Well, I'm somehow not surprised. I guess all the money went to the new express locomotives.
Probably. At this point, we better hope they actually produce some good locomotives.
Well, I don't feel eligible to give a guess. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Fair enough.
But how was the run?
Well, excluding the rattle and shaking that the coaches gave, the trip was actually perfectly fine. You have at least done a good job with the track. Hopefully you can also give a bit of care to the line to Kirk Ronan.
What do you mean?
There's a noticeable difference between the track quality of that line and this one. I know that this one is brand new, but when compared, the line to Kirk Ronan is really out of shape.
Well, it was not in the original project to give the line an update, and with the probably very little money we have left, I doubt it'll get any proper maintenance anytime soon.
Well, that's just tops. And a little dangerous.
Management, am I right? Remus seems like the type of guy to bring a ladder to a meeting.
Why?
Because he heard the company was restructuring and wanted to stay on top of things. Oh, come on, that was a pretty good one. No, that was not. Come on, man. Have a little humor.
Evening, everyone. I am very happy to see you all here, because it's important that you hear what I have to say. So, a lot of you might be wondering, how exactly are we going to proceed amidst this slightly difficult construction period? Well, a new plan has been formed that'll hopefully put things towards an easier path. So the original plan was to have the Kirk Ronan Harbour done by the time we had the grand opening. That's not going to be the case. With both Benson and Charlie now mostly free of their construction efforts, they'll be focusing hard on getting that done as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, 2 weeks from now, we'll have the grand opening of the new mainline extensions. Now, the opening trains were planned to be hauled by our new express locomotives. They're still in the works, however, and will not be done in time for the event. So it'll be you, Joseph and Taylor, who'll be handling those. Also, your temporary loan has been reworked to a full-on lease, since we don't know when we'll be able to cover the trains ourselves. After the grand opening, we'll have a new timetable put in motion, with an increase in passenger services. Roger, Riker, Ramore and Reed, along with Niall, Norse and Whiff, you're to take care of those. As for the heavy goods work, that's of course expected to be handled by Jimmy, Jacob and Jesse. Something I have no doubt you three will be able to do.
Thank you, sir.
Furthermore, once the harbour project is done, we'll need to have some work for Benson and Charlie to do. Since they're not on loan, we'll have to move some things around for that to happen. Now, as much as I hate to say this, given that it's Remus's orders, the current approach to that is to have Benson and Charlie assigned to the Great Waterton branch, while you, Neil, Clive and Matthew, are to be retained for shunting duties and maintenance work. I've done so much. Calm down, everyone. I know it's an unpopular choice, but we have to be realistic. Neil, Clive and Matthew, you should be very proud of all the work you've done for this railway. You remain as the railway's mascots and are true role models for what proper hardworking engines should be. But times are changing. And honestly, sir, I speak for all 3 of us when I say that
we would actually be perfectly happy with shunting work.
Oh,
really?
I knew it. I think we're past our mainline career, and branchline career for that matter. Things are simply becoming too much for us to handle. So, for the sake of the railway, we'd be perfectly okay with a change of pace.
Well, I suppose that's settled then. Neil, Clive and Matthew, I speak for all of us when I say that we're forever grateful for your care and empathy towards everyone. You really are something special. For the sake of making the best as possible out of the situation, I urge you all to give the best you got. If we are to make it back strong from this, we'd better make sure we do it properly. So I hope that you're all willing to give something to this railway. If not for me, then for Mr. Clover. Can I expect that from you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So, Julian, it's time to give me an update. How well are the new services doing?
Adequate is the best word I can use.
Excuse me?
Adequate, sir. Passenger numbers are adequate, goods numbers are adequate, morale is adequate.
My dear Julian, I don't think you understand what that word means.
I know exactly what that word means, sir. Similar to enough and sufficient.
Well, then I assume you're not using it right then. Not for the sake of the railway stats.
You really are that naive, sir. You might have to let go of your grand visions and dreams regarding this railway and realize the truth. Things are not going as good as you want them to. We can't just pump out big, bold projects that are enormously expensive and expect them to save the world. Not if it's the only thing you do. I shall warn you, from what it looks like, we're not to make a profit this year, and that will be the first time in the railway's history that that's happened. Are you proud of that?
You get on my nerves, Julian. You are no visionary. You're no believer. You're no good. If I had the opportunity to sack you, Julian, I would. But it needs board approval. So, next board meeting, tomorrow, I'll put it up for a vote. Let's see how popular you are with the rest of my supporters. Remember, my supporters.
Yeah, your supporters. I'm sure they're willing to let go of the only level-headed individual within the entire company. Ugh, get out! As you wish, Remus. Well, the vote has now been cast.
What vote?
Essentially, it seems that Remus doesn't want me to be there anymore, so we held a vote within the board to determine whether or not they'd wanted me to be removed as well.
And?
I won the vote.
Wait, really?
9-3, so I ain't going anywhere. And my god, Remus was not happy about that.
Oh,
that's wonderful news, sir. You finally got a victory on him. Apparently so, and a very important one at that.
indeed.
Perhaps it's a sign for better things to come. If Remus's supposed supporters don't agree with him, then maybe they're already realizing what we've already known. Maybe the board will crumble from within itself. The whole thing will collapse, and it'll be beautiful. A slightly far-fetched take, but I understand where you're coming from. I think they just knew that it would be best for the railway that I stay.
Well, we know that for sure.
I think the railway would have gone bust if you had left. Perhaps. I guess it can be ruled out. But anyway, me staying on the board doesn't really change much of what's happening and what's going to happen. We're soon to receive the new express locomotives from the works. Fresh designs, featuring lots of inspiration from both Taylor and Joseph. Hopefully, they'll prove to be successful. The express services are at least proving to be somewhat popular. Far from what Remus had expected, nor wanted, but still sufficient. We're at least making a slight profit from it. Well, that's good. And it seems to me that Jimmy and the others are handling the goods very well. It's a bit of a relief not having to juggle all those different services, since it weared an engine out quite a lot. And we're also glad for the help. Those commuter trains were becoming a bit too much to handle by ourselves. Well, it seems that the rolling stock division remains intact and well used. Let's just hope that the new engines are able to help with that.
The predecessor. Lovely. It's good to meet you.
Excuse me? Predecessor?
Well, my dear engine, aren't that why we're here? To replace you on these trains of yours.
No, laddie. That was just the original plan. But there's been a change. To make sure that we can keep up with the initial craze, me and my companion, who you just passed on the way here, have had our stay extended. So, you're not here to replace me, just supplement me on the services.
What a shame, Michael. We have to work together with an ancient machine.
I'm 20 years old, mate.
My point exactly.
You're starting to look a bit dated now.
Good thing that we're here to get that sorted out. Isn't that right, Michael? Indeed, Malcolm. It'll be an honor to get this mess sorted out.
Michael and Malcolm, is it?
Yes, it is.
Taylor's mine, but I imagine you don't really care.
No.
Well, we're thankful for the help we're to receive. Hopefully. I know you haven't had your trial runs yet, but do keep back with that way of talking. It really doesn't help anyone around here.
Well, seems like you can't handle it then.
Can't handle the truth? Well, I can handle it. You'll just get bored of doing it to me. It'll have zero impact.
We'll see about that.
Don't make it a goal. That's just stupid.
Pretty sights we have here. At last the railway has some proper express engines to call its own. Only took 35 years. Michael and Malcolm, there are a lot of exciting things to happen now that you're here. We can expand the passenger services even further, also extending down to Kirk Ronan, thereby allowing us to run 2 express services. Now there's a lot of expectations towards your performance, so can I rely on you to deliver that? Of course, sir. We'll be more than happy to give our best performance. We can promise you, sir, you won't be disappointed. Confident, are you? Absolutely, sir. Not an ounce of dread. Wonderful to hear. I'll let you get settled here for tonight so you can rest for tomorrow. Taylor, go to Crow and Skate or something. We need room in the sheds. You heard him, old-timer. Off you go. What's going on here? Why is it so empty at this very important harbor?
Oh, it's busy alright, but not here. We couldn't expand it enough on this side, so we're moving it to the east of town, where we have more room to work with. So this part of the harbor will become more of a passenger terminal.
What a load of rubbish. If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Well, if we don't do anything, it will break. And we're not just fixing it, but improving it as well. You should really think your words through more. What's the matter? I've been working on this for a bit now, but I still get blown back by the scale. It's enormous. Well, I guess they have to make sure we can keep up with the shipping somehow, even if it means going slightly beyond what you need at the moment. True. I just hope there'll be enough shipping to justify all that. I doubt we can survive with such an expensive miss, if it proves to be one. Are you doubting it? Maybe in an unfair way. The current board doesn't exactly have a clean record when it comes to these big projects so far. Far from it. But hopefully this can turn out to be a bit of a breather for it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I just came up with a good one.
Oh god.
Why did the sailors abandon the old harbor? I don't know. 'Cause even the tides were pulling for the new place.
That was a bad one. The new harbor was eventually finished, and thus the big expansion project was finally done. In total, they'd blown way past the original schedule and budget, finishing 8 months after originally planned, and using about 4 times the original budget to get things complete. It was an extortionate investment. But now, with all finished, it was time to see if it would pay off in the big way that Remus wanted. And? Well, it went nowhere near what was hoped. Our services were doing fine, but at that rate it would take decades to catch up with the amount of money owed. Despite us being a bigger railway now, we weren't really doing much better financially, so we were worse off, since we couldn't keep up nearly as well with the cost. 1889 was the first year where the railway didn't turn a profit, and unfortunately it wouldn't be the last. Far from it. Jump to 1895 and we're still losing money. The services aren't doing much better, the goods trains are there but not necessarily in bulk. The mines are the only real profit makers, while the fishing industry is being slightly outcompeted by others on the island. All in all, the railway is in a worse position than before. So what's the board's grand idea to fix this? Well, not much. The only major thing they did was a major rebuild of Croven's Gate. New station, new yard, and an expansion of the workshop. You know, just letting more money go in places where it wasn't really needed. But other than that, they just let it sit, hoping it would sort itself out. Which it wouldn't, of course. Julian had several ideas on how to turn the railway's fortunes, some of which were really smart, but they were ignored. That was the new strategy that Remus employed. Just ignore the poor guy. Eventually, in 1897, Remus finally went forward with an idea. The idea? Increase the amount of passenger trains on the main line.
Really? That's all he could muster up in that time?
Yep. Genius, isn't it? So, spending more money that the railway didn't have, 2 new locomotives were acquired. Not build a Croven's Gate, mind you. He didn't have any time for that. Nope. 2 locomotives bought from the Midland Railway. Samuel and Sebastian. 2 locomotives that proved to be, well, good performers, but not needed since there weren't many more passengers to fill the extra trains. So I guess you can imagine how that helped the railway's finances.
I would imagine it just made it worse.
Yes, it did. Granted, the trains weren't as empty as we thought they would be, but it was still disappointing. So now, there's even more stuff to fix. But we would have to wait until 1905 before the railway did anything about it. And it was even more disappointing. Let me give you some context. By this point, in terms of quantity of goods handled, the amount of passengers served, were worse off than ever before. The harbor, as good as it proved to be, was pretty bare. There wasn't much traffic going through, nor was there many passenger ships docking at the old harbor. A lot of that went to Brendam. It's funny to think about. By 1905, we were about 4 times larger than the Walsworth and Sudbury Railway, but they were doing so much better financially than us. Like, it's actually crazy once you look at the numbers. Anyway, it should be clear to you all that things need to change. One would think that Remus would have learned from the past, that just expanding the number of locomotives and services wouldn't help. But it proved that that wasn't the case.
Can you run that by me again, sir? We're to receive some new locomotives for some new services that are planned to be introduced. And this time, it's not the same as with Sebastian and Samuel. Do we really need to hear it? Remus's orders. I have no choice.
Well, just get it out then.
So, 2 new locomotives are expected. An express locomotive and a goods locomotive. Now that's just surface level. The real damaging part is looking at the specs for these new locomotives. The express locomotive is going to be a 460, while the goods locomotive is to be a 280. Are they just copying the Great Western Railway now? Yeah, Copying is the word. Literally. Wait, really? At least one regarding the goods locomotive. You know the Great Western recently introduced their 2800 class heavy goods locomotives. Well, Remus knows people who work at the Great Western's drawing office, and managed to get a hold of the drawings. Without their permission, I might add. With that now in hand, Ragnar tweaked the design so it's just independent enough for it not to cause any major damage in the long run. Why not let him draw it from scratch? Well, time. Remus wanted it done as quickly as possible. Ragnar already had the express design on hand, having casually worked on it for the past year, but he didn't have any for a goods locomotive. But at least in that case, the express locomotive is going to be an original design. But still, this does not seem like the right approach for handling the railway's current situation. Far from it. I'm getting to the point now where I might start considering doing something other than railway work. If not, then at least attempting to do something bolder within the board. I am sick and tired of it. Things need to change. Drastically. But if anyone is to do it, then it's without a doubt you, sir. Thank you, Samson. I'll see what I can do.
Well, look at that. Finally a worthy express colleague. None of that ancient and foreign stuff we've been working with. Properly built Sotrian express power. What's your name? Mine is Michael. And mine is Malcolm.
It's Mr.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, mister. Hopefully we can work together to deliver some fine express results for the railway.
What gives you the right to compare yourself to me?
Well, express colleagues on equal status has to see each other eye to eye.
We are not on equal status.
What?
You really think that you, some tiny 440s, are equal to an engine like me, on the same level? Well, think again. I can haul more than you can ever dream of. I can go faster with a full load than you can go with no load. I'm the better crowd pleaser. I am better. Let it sink in, and don't ever approach me without my permission.
That ain't no proper express engine. What a load of rubbish. Do we seriously have to work with that? I hope not. That would not be fun. But I think we do.
Who was that? I don't know. Hello, my name's Chester. I was to meet some of my new goods colleagues here. I imagine that's you. Hello, Chester. Well, you've made it to the right place then. I'm Jimmy. And I'm Jacob. I gotta say, we were given some general stats about what you were going to look like, but seeing you in person now, you're quite an impressive sight. Thank you, Jimmy. I'm hoping to put my abilities to good use. They said I was among the most powerful locomotives in the UK, and that's likely going to be a little problem. Why? Isn't more power good? Well, for a lot of railways, it is. The thing is, we aren't among those railways. In fact, we don't really need much more power than we already have. Come on, Jacob. Show a bit of support to my presence. I would like to, Chester, but I must be honest, and someone has to. We're in a situation right now where our board is spending too much on the wrong things. We're lacking any sufficient goods work for an engine like you, let alone 3 of us. For example, that lot over there is what I brought in about 20 minutes ago. Sizable for sure, but not really challenging. Not for me at least, nor would it be for you. So you see, there's going to be a lot of problems matching what you can pull. You know what? I think you're just afraid. What? Afraid that I'll take over all your goods work. That I'll be the pride of the goods crew while you're slowly superseded. If that's really the way to greet a new engine, then I'll make sure to respond in an equal manner. Maybe I worded that wrong. You tried at least. Maybe Julian can talk to him a little easier. I hope he'll at least get what I meant. I was only trying to inform him. Well, he doesn't know the context, so I guess such a reaction is fair. He'll probably pick it up soon. But I wonder, what goods work will they actually arrange for him? Because I doubt we have anything sufficient. The goods work that was assembled for Chester was, well, minimal at best. As expected, there was nowhere near enough for him to feel satisfied in his work.
The only service that came somewhat close was the mineral trains from the mines, but even those were woefully inadequate to his power. Then there was Mr. Mr. was built to work on a newly established express service that was intended to be a little grander than the ones Michael and Malcolm were hauling. However, they still only had the same poor express coaches to work with, so the result was very lame when compared to what was promised. The service proved to be very unpopular, and it was never even close to being full during its time of operation. And the thing was, that was more or less the only thing that Mr. really pulled. Just that service alone, that ran a handful of times a day. No more. It simply wasn't worth it to have him run the other services since Joseph, Taylor, Michael and Malcolm ran those perfectly fine. You could never tell how Mr. felt about it. He never showed any emotion, never spoke with anyone. I don't even know if he thought much at all. Well, he would eventually, when, in early 1907, he had quite an uncomfortable experience.
I know I'm not allowed to talk to you, mister, but I'll do it anyway. I'll make it brief though. Michael is having some trouble building up steam probably. It seems his pipes are blocked. Can you cover for him on the morning express train? Sure. Good. Off you go then. May I talk to you? Yes, you may. How are you feeling right now? Not good. I feel guilty. 23 people on my record. I can understand that. That definitely came out of left field. I can imagine that it's a hard thing to comprehend at the moment. Yes, sir. I can, however, tell you, if it makes you feel better, that none of it was your fault at all. You were doing exactly what you were supposed to. Someone, however, who wasn't doing that was the board. There was a very simple reason to why you derailed. That track on that line is in terrible shape. I checked the records. Last time that section had any proper maintenance was 16 years ago. So simply put, the track was in no shape to support an engine like you. Even a 4-4 was a little risky on that line. I see. Well, I guess that does make me feel a little better. But that damn board. No care for safety whatsoever. None at all. But hopefully, this can be a bit of a wake-up call for them to perhaps get some work done on that problem. We can only pray. Yes.
Safe to say, they didn't do anything about it.
Nothing?
Cleaned up the mess, repaired the broken bit of track, and left. That was that.
No, come on. They can't be that ignorant. And disrespectful.
Oh, they could. And I'm sorry to say, when it came to being disrespectful, there was worse to come. And on short notice. In fact, just 6 days after Mr.'s crash, we would suffer an even worse catastrophe.
Well, at least there's a bit of goods for Chester to handle. Hopefully you can make him a little happy. What's that noise? What the hell?
Well, it appears our misfortunes weren't limited to Mister's crash.
What's the result, sir?
Well, a large section of the coal mine has collapsed. As if we weren't to suffer enough from the crash, we now have to endure even more. And this time, it's even worse. The reports are not complete as of right now. However, the current numbers are not good. At least 44 people are presumed dead, having been in the mine when it happened. The current cause? I don't know. Nobody knows yet. This came even more out of left field. And now, we have even more on our hands. Way more than we'd ever want. How we, or they, are going to handle this, I don't know. It's impossible to tell. Samson, you are not to work for a bit. I've arranged for you to get some help since I know this was a very traumatic experience for you.
The one time I finally get to work at a place that's close to where I started my working career, I experience what no person nor engine should. I shouldn't have been there today.
You shouldn't look at it like that, Samson. All of that was way out of your control. You just happened to be an unfortunate spectator.
That's one way of saying it.
I don't know if I have any trust in the board to handle this situation, but I'll do my damn best to make them handle it properly. If they don't, it might well kill the railway.
Well, that would be one more casualty to the record then.